Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Robbie with Roadhog Garage. Today we've got my 2024 Lowrider ST on the lift here, and we've got some changes to be made, and I wanted to start out with where we started and where we're going. So follow along. All right, so I'm here with all my seats. Obviously, we start out with a stock seat, and the stock seat, it's okay, but I noticed in the first couple hours of riding my bike that it was uncomfortable, and the side support was not very good, and so for that reason, I decided to make the change. For most people, I think that when you're looking for seats, you probably don't have the ability to try a whole lot of seats on. In my area, the local dealership didn't have anything other than Harley aftermarket seats. So that really leads you into Facebook and things like that I relied on other people's comments about what they thought about different seats. And the two big ones I had heard a lot about were Lepera and Saddlemen. And so after reading a ton of different reviews, and both of them, there was positive and negative on both of them. I ended up picking up a Saddlemen SDC seat, which is what a lot of people seem to be running. Aesthetically, I really like the way that it looks. But over time, and I mean roughly about 15,000 miles or so, I started noticing some issues with the seat. And I realized that, I put about 1,000 miles on it and it kind of broke in a little bit more so. And but it didn't get any more comfortable than that. And so I rocked that seat for a long time, and I really enjoyed that seat until I started seeing that there were actual issues with the stitching in the seat. And at that point, I started looking into some other options. Talking with Steven, when he got his new Road Glide, he was looking at some different seat options, and he ended up coming across Bad Boyz Cyclez. I had never heard of the company. He had never heard of it other than some people recommending it on Facebook. And when I saw his seat, I saw the quality of it, and I rode his motorcycle, and I realized how comfortable it was. I told myself that's going to be my next seat. I mean, just aesthetically, it was beautiful, but when I sat on it, I really knew that that was going to be the seat for me. So when we went to Bike Week, we met up with Eli and their family, and I was able to get a seat, and I threw that thing on my bike, and I've now probably put, I don't know, maybe a little over 1,000, 1,500 miles. I hadn't done a ton of riding since I got back home. But the weather's just now getting to be nicer. But what I can say is positively that, like, comfort-wise, performance, like really being sat into the seat and being hooked in when you're riding really hard, it does those things. And right out of the box, it's comfortable. There's no 1,000-mile break-in period or anything like that. I've been extremely happy so far, and I'll continue to update on this seat as I ride it more, so that way I can give direct feedback to you guys. But let's go ahead and talk about the seats, and let's look at them as we go here. All right, so like I said, we've got our stock seat. As you can see, aesthetically, it is what it is. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. I don't mind the actual look of it here. If maybe the pattern of the, the stitching on the leather portion of the seat was different, I'd like it maybe. But from a comfort standpoint, I mean, it's just, the sides just really give way when you lean into the seat. So for that reason, I was out on it. Moving over to the Saddlemen SDC seat, I had chose to go with a, they're like bronze stitching, if you will, and it's got the gripper material for the passenger and the gripper material for the rider itself. Of course, you got the logo Saddlemen in bronze as well. And there's like an imitation, like carbon fiber type finish here for the seat. Honestly, I don't personally care for that all too much. I mean, it wasn't a deal breaker, but I personally don't care for it. But one of the big issues that I really had with this seat that I started to notice over time as I was riding it, and this bike doesn't sit out in the sun or anything like that. I mean, it's always garage kept. But if you start looking at the stitching on the seat itself, you can start to see where it's cracking at the seam. So I was really disappointed in that. And I looked at getting this seat recovered, and I just chose, if I was going to take that time to do that, then I was just going to go a different route and try something different. That's just personal preference, nothing against Saddlemen. Like I said, I did enjoy their seat while I had it on the motorcycle, but I was ready to, get into something new and see what else is out there. And I may try another seat, who knows? I mean, there's a bunch of different options out there, and everybody's bottom is different. So, it really comes down to the individual. So as I said, my next step here was the Bad Boyz Cyclez seat. So this is their Viper step-up seat. And this thing is just beautiful. The craftsmanship of this seat is just amazing. And the gripper material is probably my favorite part, honestly. Like, you can see that there. I mean, it's got a huge step up. And this thing is really comfortable. On my lower back, I love it. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. Just come around here. They've got their actual stitching on the side here, their logo, which is super cool. Looks really classy. Doesn't take away from your motorcycle. Just gives it that extra little something when you're looking at it. So I'm really, really happy with it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and I'm going to set all these seats on here, and we just like go 1, 2, 3 and kind of talk about them. So let's do that now. All right, so we've got our bone stock seat on here. Everybody knows what this thing's about. Obviously, it is not set up for a passenger. So in my case, my wife does like to ride with me occasionally. So this seat is already out just because of that. But even without that, I mean, again, as I mentioned, the side support is lacking and the middle of the seat is really soft. And over time, I found that my bottom is not happy after like a couple hours of riding. So for that, I have decided to remove this seat. And like I said, I swapped over to the Saddlemen. So the Saddlemen, it was a major improvement. I immediately threw this seat on from the factory seat and I said, man, this is how this thing should have come. You do have the option to have a rider on the back of the seat, but man, I will not recommend it. I already had a feeling, just because obviously the size of the seat for the passenger, that it was not going to be a great experience. And my wife confirmed that after riding it. So this seat is really aesthetics only for the passenger, 100% aesthetics. I mean, you can put somebody here. I don't recommend it. It's not comfortable, especially for any kind of extended riding time. I mean, you could probably get around the block and be fine, but you start talking about 30 minutes to an hour or any further than that, I would not recommend that at all. As far as the actual support for the seat, when I first put the seat on the bike, it was pretty stiff. Right out of the gate, it was pretty stiff, which for riding it aggressively, it felt good because I didn't feel like I was, pushing down into the seat or anything like that. And the sides, I had good bolstering on the side of the seat. But over time, that only got, slightly better. It maintained being pretty stiff for the most part the whole time I had this seat. But the other issue that I really had a problem with this seat for me is I started noticing, this is like material that they use, this imitation carbon fiber material that they use, it's kind of slick. So as you're riding it, I felt myself kind of sliding back into the gripper material from the seat, and I didn't really care for that. I thought that was kind of an issue for me. And probably the last thing I can say about this seat was that if this thing does, if I were to park it and it's hot outside or whatever, this thing really absorbs heat. I don't know if it's the gel material inside just gets hot or whatever, but you let it sit outside for a little bit and then you hop on this thing and you're going to be roasting the whole time you're sitting on this seat until it cools down. So that was another little thing that I, would think about if I'd go riding the bike and then I'd park it for a little bit and it sat out in the sun for a short period of time. But other than that, though, from a performance aspect, like, this seat's not a bad seat. It's not a bad option. But for me personally, I was ready to move on to something different. And I'm glad I did, because that different turned into a really sweet seat from Bad Boyz Cyclez. And aesthetically, I mean, it really changed up the look of the bike. I mean, just right off the rip. So this thing has a very aggressive step up, which I absolutely love this thing. And two, and I'll get a little bit closer shot on this seat, the rider portion of the seat here is a little bit wider, and then it's a little bit more narrow towards the gas tank, which I really like. It allows me almost hug the gas tank a little bit more with my legs, which I really like that. The passenger, my wife has actually not gotten to ride on this seat yet, so I cannot comment if it's any better or not. But I'm going to assume, just off of what I can visually see, is that it's probably slightly more comfortable, but it's probably still not going to be a major improvement. It looks to me like the passenger portion of the seat is a little bit wider and it's a little bit longer. I can't really speak too much on the padding. She hasn't ridden on it yet, like I said. So that is to be determined, but we will find out soon enough, I'm sure. But just overall, right out of the box, this seat is comfortable. I literally have nothing bad to say about it. I was actually blown away at how comfortable it is. And over time, I will update on how the seat is performing for me. And I think, honestly, I think it's going to do really well. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you on the next one. Robbie with Roadhog Garage. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.